everyone, this is Shovin' Low, and I'm vlogging every other day in April along with my bestie, CodenameMreeb, also known as Mary. So, I guess I'm going to start by answering questions that Mary asked me in her video yesterday. You can click here and watch it. It's in a box. Pretty much what she asked me questions about my life as a designer and my life as a stage manager and all the other things that I do. So I thought I would talk about the questions that she asked about being a designer. I wrote down what she said. The first thing she asked kind of was like, what is the day in the life of a designer? I guess it depends on what process you are or what step you are in the design. I guess when you start designing, you're talking to the director about, you talk to them about what kind of show they want to do, I guess. If they have something in mind, like, it's great if they do because it's great to base it off of that, like to get you started. So say you're designing Romeo and Juliet and the director's like, I want to do a post-apocalyptic. And then that's something to start with. So then what you do is you sketch out different things, not usually too terribly detailed because that's a lot of time, but you do your renderings and your just preliminary designs. They might be like pictures, and like if you're inspired by movies or TV shows or just art, you might just pull those up and collage them. It's basically just like putting together different concepts. So you sketch it out, might be different layouts, different levels, and then you show those to the director, and the director will be like, oh, I like this idea, and I like this idea, that one not so much, and then you can go with that and maybe combine them and maybe still keep adding, and then the director will be like, oh, I like this, 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 and this, and not this, and then you keep going until you kind of have some sort of final design. I guess also what you do in preliminary, if you're not quite sketching, or you're not just sketching, you can do white model boxes, which is basically like, one sec. A white model box is basically just like a model of the set, and it's just done with white paper. It doesn't have color or anything, or not a lot of detail. It's mostly just about layout and height and just position. Not just a position, which is what I kind of sound like, just position. Yeah, and then when you're done your preliminary, then you can go on to getting more detailed and maybe incorporating more color, and then you can build a colorful model box. This one's really simple because this one is it's for a touring show, so it's really simple. It's not the best one I've ever done, but it's one that I just have here. I can put pictures of other ones that I've built, just for funsies. I can find them. Yeah, so you basically build this. This is really useful, especially in the rehearsal process. Actors and the director, they'd like to have this sort of as like a visual, so they can help with the rehearsal and just help with blocking. Be like, this is what the set will look like, so the person can just visualize little them. I should have had a little person in here actually. So that's why that's helpful. Before, like, normally the stage manager, my other job, I might just talk about that later. This might just be a design video. Although I do have another important thing that I really need to talk about. Elections! Anyway, so we'll get to that later. I don't know what I was talking about before I went into that, but pretty much designer stuff. Yeah, this is for the Saskatoon Upper School Tour Barbara Seville. It's just on here because it's going to be in school gyms. It's not going to be in an actual theater. Normally you would build the actual theater, but because this is touring to different places, I thought about doing like a gym floor on the bottom here, but then I didn't. And this will also be helpful for me because it'll be a good reference when I paint the set later. That's one of the things I'm doing this month. So this is the set I'm building this month. It's made out of canvas and pipe. So it's really simple, and it's touring, so it's a touring show, so it needs to come down and go up easily, and you can transport it easily. So yeah, that's one thing. So that's like kind of preliminary stuff. When the set's being built, if you're not building the set, there'll be a building crew, and basically your job is, depending on your contract, you might not be allowed, especially if you're an ADC designer, which is the Associated Designers of Canada, and just depending on the house or the theater you're working in, you might not be able to do the work. You can do samples of things and be like, this is what I want. But then the staff, they need to build it. So quite often you're there answering questions, just like being like, oh, move this up, do this, add more blue to that. I don't know. You're just there telling them what to do. I don't have too much experience with that situation, just because most of the designing I've done lately, I guess, has been me building it myself or creating it. So the one time I did that, I didn't exactly do the best job because I wasn't used to working with a crew, but now that I've done it, I think maybe I could do a better job, but I'm still learning. Woo! So that's when it's being built, and then also when it's being built, you might be in rehearsal, so you need to be in rehearsal, and sometimes the director might have questions for you, or you're just in rehearsal, just seeing how the space or the costumes, if you're a costume designer, seeing what the actors are going to be doing, seeing what's needed of the set, if it wasn't talked about before, if you need to add something. Unless, like, you might get notes, you should get notes from your stage manager about that, but it's nice to be in the hall, learning that for yourself. I think so, at least. Yeah, and then pretty much, basically your job is done as soon as opening night happens. Mary asked, are you on standby? Do you need to be around for any emergency set deck? You don't actually need to be around. Hopefully any issue with the design is figured out during tech week. But you're not obligated to stay during the run of the show. Normally it's like opening night and you're gone. The same as the director. I guess if there's a serious problem, they'd probably call you. But I guess the staff of the theater fix it. If it's like a big theater, if you're doing an independent production, you'd probably deal with it because there's no one else to do it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's more to it, but that's that. And this is really long, and I hope all that makes sense. I like designing. I go back and forth with designing because depending on the project, I'll be like, oh, I'm not a good designer. Oh, I hate life. And then like I'll work on another project that I'm really proud of. I'm like, this is so fun. Why do I hate this? But I think that's true with any profession, really. I got my hair cut yesterday. I have layers now. Sorry, I just was like, my head's so light now. Although there's still a lot of hair. Gonna plug it in. Gonna plug in my computer because it's dying. Sing that songs. For stage managing, I think I'll do another video for it, which is good because that'll help me prep for a workshop that I'm teaching. I talked about it a little bit earlier in my first video. I'm teaching a workshop in stage managing, and I'm really nervous about it. The closer it gets, the more nervous. I've never taught anything in my life. I mean, it's only a 3-hour workshop, but I mean, if I don't handle my time well, that makes me look bad because part of a stage manager's job is to keep track of time. So I think I won't do a 3-hour long video, but maybe just a really, really super condensed version, just explaining what a stage manager does before rehearsal, during rehearsal, and show. Okay, so that's being a designer. I do theater design. I haven't done film design, and if I stay in this province, I probably won't. So yesterday was the provincial election here in Saskatchewan, and I had hope. I had so much hope. Basically, if you were me and you looked on my Facebook, basically everyone you would see, almost everyone, is an NDP supporter. So it seems so weird that the New Democratic Party didn't get more seats, more votes, because as an artist, I feel like most artists seem to go towards the NDP, maybe a little bit liberal. There's some that are liberal, but you don't vote for the Sass Party really if you're an artist. No. We need more artists in this province because the Sass Party won again, which is really frustrating. It's even more frustrating because only 53% of the eligible voting population voted, and that's so frustrating because why don't people vote? People vote because they say their vote doesn't make a difference, but if everyone who says that gets put together, it was 47% of the population who didn't vote, and maybe they didn't vote for other reasons, but if you're busy that day, there were advance votes, and if you're busy with work, you are supposed to be allowed, that wasn't grammar, I don't care, but you're supposed to be able to get, I think, 3 hours of voting time when it's an election. And honestly, if you go in the middle of the day, it's not a very long line. Like, I went in, there were voting areas that were empty, and I just went in, X'd my ballot, left. It was so easy, and you only have to do it once every few years. But people just don't do it, and it's really frustrating because we live in a country where we are very privileged because we can vote very easily. All you have to do is go to your local voting area station thing, which hopefully isn't too far away, which usually isn't. It's only something you have to do once every 4 years. And there are countries in the world where people, they would kill, that's a bad thing to say, but maybe they would kill, but they risk their lives to vote, I believe. Like, there's people who have, like, tried to sneak into places just so that they can vote, and they end up dying because of that. And that's so frustrating because they want to change their country, and we have this opportunity to change, maybe not quite our country, our province. We have this opportunity to change our province, and people just don't take advantage of it. Ugh, I hate privileged people, says the white person living in Canada. That's a video for another day. God damn it. I feel like maybe the numbers were affected just because few months ago we just had our federal election here in Canada, and I'm curious if maybe people who were already tired of the whole voting election thing, maybe they didn't vote because they were like, we just did this. But no, you didn't just do this. This was for a completely different cause. Federal government, provincial government, two very different things. And I wonder if that had affected the voting population. It was so frustrating watching all the people getting elected, and it was all like Sask Party, Sask Party, Sask Party, and knowing that the Sask Party is against the biggest, for me, the biggest topic in the election, which for me was the film tax credit, and basically what the film tax credit was, which Mary knows very much about as a filmmaker, which is one of the. Okay, so the film tax credit is. I'm holding my head because it hurts. Basically, the film tax credit is film companies used to come into Saskatchewan. Used to is an important word. They used to come into Saskatchewan and be able to film without paying taxes because the government would, foot the bill. They didn't have to pay their taxes. The Sass Party was like, oh, this is a lot of money we're spending, so let's get rid of that. Basically, even though when in the last election they said that they wouldn't do that. They made that promise, I guess. I don't remember that, but apparently they made that promise. They said, we're not going to get rid of it, and that was one of the first decisions they made. And that's so bad. It's so bad. Basically, it's bad because even though I think the film tax credit cost the government maybe less than $10 million, it brought in, I don't have an exact number, but it brought in, well, how it brought in was it helped the economy by giving jobs to filmmakers and it brought business to like hairstylists and makeup artists and film technicians and just techie people in general, lumber yards, people selling material for building sets and props and stuff, just local businesses and maybe local hotels and housing people so that the casting crew could stay and goddamn. It's just really frustrating when this is something you really believe in, because it does affect so many people that you know, like Mary, my best friend, she's a film person, and this has affected her. And her roommate, Jason, one of my other best friends, he's a filmmaker, and then so many of our friends and even family have left because they can't work here in the field they want to work in, and it's so frustrating. And so many people don't understand it, and so many people don't even know about it, and it's... Oh, I can rant about this for forever. It's really frustrating. It's so frustrating, and this is a really long video, and I'm so sorry, but I really needed to talk about both things. I wish I could go back in time and slap a bunch of people and be like, hey, vote. Even, like, you know what, if 90% of the voting population voted, I would feel less frustrated. And, like, if it was the same outcome, I would feel less frustrated, because at least people cared. More people cared. And it's so frustrating. I just keep saying it's frustrating, but it's frustrating. And, ow. I have to stop talking because my throat hurts. I guess I would like to see that video, Mary, about, I would like to see that video about your job as a script supervisor, in film, and I would love to hear about how you feel about the election, about the film tax credit, because as a film person, I believe you feel a lot of the same things I feel, but I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say about it and how you feel about the next 4 years of Brad Wall and what you think that means for the film community and what that means for you. Because please don't leave. Or Jason. I don't want either of you to leave. That would make me really sad. Okay. I'm gonna go now. Bye! I'm gonna go sew part of a set on my floor. My life. Okay. Bye. It's so frustrating.